This week on football, Giroud goes in goal.
Remarkable finish to this game. Straight in there, head first, Giroud.
Merce loses it at Mike Dean.
Come on! There's no law! No one's going to die! So stop the game! No one's going to happen! You're all scared! You're all like, oh my God, I'm going to get in trouble! Stop the game!
Dog puts the kennel in Kenilworth Road.
A bit overawed. Dogs are even allowed him. Unbelievable. I'm scared of dogs, so I'd be in a bad way if I was playing this game. What would
See
be going
some
over
different
there?
things here in the Premier League. I love this place.
Woman has schizophrenic episode live on TV.
Rubbish, by the way. The games do cross over. They are slightly different. The women's game's more technical. It flows more freely because they dive less and they call for fouls less, okay?
Steve Evans gives it large. Antita thinks he's Jude Bellingham. And you'll never guess who these Leicester fans are angry at.
Speaking wisdom into my mind. Tell me stories of all that are great. Cherish these days before it's too late. If you could turn around yourself.
Yes, welcome to another episode of Goalposts for Jumpers. It's me, your host, Alex. You are tuned in live to the greatest podcast in history of people called Alex who do it for a company called Goalpost TV. This week's episode, we've got a team of the week coming up. We've got another Two Lies and a Truth. I'm risking it all by going with my biggest chomp yet. But first, as you know, we kick it off every week with a quiz question. This week's quiz question, you just saw Steve Evans there giving it large. Who does Steve Evans manage? Which team does Steve Evans manage? We'll tell you at the end of the show if you haven't already got it. Brush up on your lower league football. There's a clue. Okay, right. Let's do Chomp of the Week to properly kick us off. Last week, we did a Chomp for Aston Villa fans. When I say we did a Chomp for Aston Villa fans, that was the intended target. Unfortunately, we got Scottish fans instead. A few Villa fans chomped, but we got nearly 500 of you Scottish fans chomping away at me saying that John McGinn is Irish. That was an easy one. It was too easy. I even said it to one of the lads. I said, what do you think of this? And he went, you've gone too hard on Ireland. Well, I think this week we're going to go a little bit more subtle, but we're going to go a little bit more risky as well. A lot more risky. This week we are going to chomp some Liverpool fans. We're going to chomp the Scousers. This should be easy, but it's going to be how we survive if we ever walk through the streets of Liverpool again in the future. I've got a plan. So obviously we did the Arsenal one first. The Arsenal one was saying that Mikel Arteta overrates Martin Ødegaard and he can't even get into the Swedish national team. Obviously he's Norwegian. We said the nationality again with John McGinn. This week I'm not going to go with nationality. I'm going to say that the Luis Diaz goal was correctly called offside. I think that will get people furious because I'm not even a Liverpool fan and that would get me furious. So we're going to do that. And I've got to think about this. I haven't actually written down what I'm going to say. I'm just going to do it on the spot. I think, we always say Chomp of the Week. And we did, the first one was the Arsenal fan who made a whole TikTok. We got a couple of people who made a TikTok. The one that I want to kind of highlight as the Chomp of the Week was someone who chomped in the reveal video. So there was a video that I then put out explaining the chomp. Someone was still chomping in there saying that John McGinn was Scottish. That was Scott McTominay lover, 23, saying, lad, he was born in Scotland. What are you on about? How he still chomped, even though I was saying he's Scottish and I in fact was chomping, I don't know. But you get Chomp of the Week, Scott McTominay lover, 23. You get Chomp of the Week. Quite apt, actually, for what Scott McTominay did this week as well. Our Chomp this week is going to be for Liverpool fans, and I'm going to say that the Luis Diaz goal was correctly called offside. I'm going to watch them all come in and chomp in, and then we're going to pick one of our favourites for next week's episode. So, okay, right, here we go. Here's the video. If you haven't seen this already, we go to TikTok, we put this little clip out, and we watch all the chomps come in. Okay. The Luis Diaz goal was correctly called offside. I'm going to show you an angle that nobody else has seen, that I think everyone is ignoring, that demonstrates exactly why the officials were correct in calling the Luis Diaz goal as offside. So as you can see here, with the line, Luis, and it doesn't matter that I'm a Man United fan. I'm not saying this because I'm a Man United fan. I'm saying this because I believe he was rightly called offside. I think the referees got it right. I think they've taken unnecessary heat as well. I think VAR is doing exactly what it needs to do, and this is a great example of it. It's unfortunate for you, but at the end of the day, it is a correct call, and Liverpool fans need to stop crying about it. Okay, that's the one that's going to get me killed. That's the one that's going to get me shot in the street. So this may be my last episode. Okay, right, guys, Team of the Week. These are players that I've seen play, no players that I haven't seen play. So I'm not going to do a Garth Crooks Team of the Week where he just picks random people from 3 o'clock kickoffs, even though he's not even watched any of the games and he's just watched a 5-minute highlight. I'm doing it from teams and players that I have seen play live and the full game. Starting off in goal this week for this week's Team of the Week is Zach Fleming. Right back is Ashraf Hakimi. Centre-back, Harry Maguire. Alongside him at centre-back is William Saliba. Left-back is Dan Burn. Central midfield, Vitinha. Also alongside him is Declan Rice. The performance of the weekend was Scott McTominay. We've got right wing Mo Salah. Left wing is Karo Matoma. And striker is Rasmus Højlund. So a few of these players in there that not necessarily had the best game at the weekend, but maybe impressed me throughout the Champions League and the European games. I thought in goal, Zach Fleming. This is a goalkeeper who's conceded 3 goals against Rangers this week, and he still got in there. I thought he was brilliant. He kept the score down, made 5 really great saves, actually 1 or 2 incredible saves. If you get to see them, he was absolutely fantastic. Zach Fleming, yes, he conceded 3, but I thought he deserved a place because I thought he kept that score right down, and I didn't see a better goalkeeping performance all weekend, if I'm honest. Right back, Ashraf Hakimi. I think he is back to his best. He was incredible in PSG's win away at Rennes this week. He scored a goal, got an assist as well. But I think just all round defensively and as an attacking threat, he was absolutely brilliant. I had Harry Maguire. I don't know how many times you're going to see Harry Maguire in my Team of the Week this year, but he had to go in there. I thought he came back, was really impressive, really solid in a really awful Man United side this week. Yes, we won last minute, but he did get the assist. But I think one of the only players that can, hold his head high and say, do you know what, I did everything I could. Alongside him, William Saliba, one of my favourite, if not my favourite centre-back in world football at the moment. I thought he was class. He's 22 years old. He plays like he's an accomplished World Cup Champions League winning centre-back. He just feels like he's got experience. He's got bags full of pace, super strong, kept the best striker on the planet at the moment, Erling Haaland, kept him quiet all game, never had a sniff. And I thought, it was absolutely key to Arsenal keeping that clean sheet. Left back, I went with Dan Burn. This is one of those that was a performance from midweek, which was against PSG. I thought he was fantastic. Had a really tough ask to keep Ousmane Dembele quiet, and I think he did that. He actually popped up with a goal as well. And for his boyhood club, you got to take your hat off to Dan Burn. I thought he was absolutely fantastic and well-deserved place in my Team of the Week. We had Vitinha, scored a stunning goal for PSG. And I've raved about him quite a lot. And I think people probably who don't watch the French league or maybe don't watch PSG very often, they might think, who is Vitinha? Isn't he the guy who played for Wolves briefly and didn't do it? Yeah, he is that guy. But he is a class act. I think it is a shame for me. I really wanted him to play against Newcastle, so a lot of the English audience could see what he is as a player, how good he is as a player. He didn't, and he got on, I think, with 20 minutes to go. But this weekend, scored a screamer of a goal, and all round just a classy little player, brilliant player. Declan Rice, he was close second for performance of the weekend. Declan Rice was everywhere during that Man City game. Thought he was probably the best player on the pitch. I thought he had a fantastic game against a really, really difficult midfield. Man City tend to dominate the ball. I thought Declan Rice just ran the show. He's one of those players, Declan Rice, that I think I never really truly rated until probably the last year or so. I will admit that, and I'll hold my hands up to that I didn't see him as that level of player. I don't know any central midfielders that I'd rather have in my Man United team than Declan Rice right now. I think he's absolutely phenomenal. Scott McTominay had the performance of the weekend for me just because of that cameo. To score 2 goals after 90 minutes is incredible. It wasn't like there was loads of minutes added on. I think there was 7 minutes in that Brentford game. Came on, made a real impact. First goal, cracking finish. Scott McTominay shows plenty of composure. He can finish in front of goal, and obviously getting himself in there for the header for the second goal and the winner. Perfect for him. Fergie time, obviously the passing of Kathy Ferguson, Sir Alex's wife, and then Scott McTominay, a Scot, a Manc born and bred as well, to score the 2 goals late in Fergie time was poetic, really. Yeah, had to be in my team of the week and had to be performance of the week. Right wing, Mo Salah. I think he is low-key just ticking along. And I think if he was any other player, people would be raving about him. Because we know Mo Salah is that good and he can perform at that level, you know, everyone's kind of like, oh yeah, Salah scored again. He scored twice. You know, that's not something that should just be brushed over because Haaland scores 3 a game and Salah scores 20, 30 goals a season. He is performing at that level. And yes, Liverpool didn't win the game against Brighton. I thought Brighton were really good. But Mo Salah, I thought, yeah, looked a threat all game, scored the penalty, scored the other goal, which is a well-taken finish. Thought he deserved to be in there as well. Left wing was Karo Mitoma. I've actually put him in there purely based off his second half performance. I thought he was majestic in that second half. He had Trent on toast, and then when Gomez came on, he had him on extra toast. He was just top notch. And Mitoma's one of those, I hate getting on the hype of him. I hate getting on the hype of players just because people are talking about him, but he's one of those that you couldn't ignore this week because that second half performance was fantastic. Striker, I went with Rasmus Højlund. The reason I've gone for him is because of that performance against Galatasaray. A shocking performance from Man United. We were awful all over the pitch, but Rasmus Højlund, 20 years old, was sublime. I thought that is the best striker's performance I've seen in a Man United shirt since Robin van Persie. And I think he's only going to get better as well. I'm just waiting for him to do that in the league. And I think people will be really talking about this guy as a success story. And I don't see him, I hate saying it, but I don't see him failing at Man United. I think he's got the character to do it. He seems to love all his teammates. All his teammates love him as well. You could see how happy they were for him after his goals. And yeah, all-round fantastic performance against Galatasaray. Probably the only player who played well. That was my team of the week. Guys, right, please comment, tell me, message me, tell me I'm wrong. Tell me there should be a player that you think should have played in my team of the week or been in my team of the week. Because I want to know your opinions, and, you know, most of the time, all the time, most of the time, I'm wrong. Sometimes I'm wrong. But yeah, sometimes I'm wrong. So, you know, let me know. Right, we're going to do 2 lies and a truth. 2 lies and a truth. This is the part of the show where I have 3 crazy stories. 2 of them I've made up. 1 of them is true. The theme of this week's 2 lies and a truth is going to be things that happened this week. So we're going to have a crazy story that happened this weekend. So, first story. Seattle Sounders game against Vancouver Whitecaps last week was delayed by 30 minutes after the Seattle mascot lost control of his chainsaw in the tunnel. That's story number 1. Story number 2. Montpellier's game with Clermont was abandoned last weekend when the Clermont goalkeeper was stretchered off after being scared by a firework. And story number 3, Egyptian side, Future FC, were awarded the win against Al Gaish after the referee abandoned play this week at 2-0. This was due to an abnormal number of locusts on the pitch. That's 3 stories. You have to guess which one is the true story and which ones I have completely made up. The story that is true will be revealed at the end of the show, so make sure you stay tuned. Right, we're going to do some TikTok submissions. This is the part where people send me TikToks and I react to them, and most of the time it's Kel the Dragon. Let's go.
Action.
I've just watched the perfect video. This is a kid trying to swing on some swings, and he farted. And I was thinking in my head, that's funny. How could it get better? And then he fell off and landed with the swing between his legs. I'm just going to watch that again.
Action.
Action. There's nothing funnier than when someone farts and they realise they farted, but they haven't stopped farting. And they do the little farts in time with their laughter. Fucking hell, let me just watch it one more time.
Action.
One more time.
Action.
Action. Oh, God. Wow. It tells you how fucking funny something has to be. That the funniest... He can fall... that the kid can fall on a swing with it hitting him between the legs. And that's not even the funniest bit. Oh, that's amazing. That's the creepiest thing I've ever seen in my life. Worst thing is they look like me. I mean, these things look exactly like me. I've just got to be honest. Dark hair, massive eyes.
Red hair and a hand-me-down robe.
Pointy snout, looks like me. Is that why you sent this to me, person who sent this to me? Why is the dog so curious? Look at the dog's face. Look at the dog's face. Wait for it. Here. He's like, did you say something? Oh, great.
Over that much, then how can a male person coach the female game? That's absolute rubbish, by the way. The games do cross over. They are slightly different. The women's game's more technical. It flows more freely because they dive less and they call for fouls less, okay? So there's slight differences there. But
I introduced this clip at the start of the episode by saying, woman has schizophrenic episode live on TV. I actually think the problem with this is having a woman on here who's defending women's football is you haven't got her on because she's an expert in the field. You've got her on because she is a female who actually knows nothing about football. Football, for women's football, is not more technical. I mean, that couldn't be further from the truth. That couldn't be further from the truth because there aren't any players in women's football that can do what half the players in the Premier League can do. I could take I'd take a young footballer like Amin Gyouri. People might not have heard of him. Amin Gyouri the levels between him and the best female footballer technically are astronomical. It's not even close. We had this debate early in the week when Jill Scott turned up on that show, that Gary Neville show, which actually is really good. And I don't even mind Jill Scott. But someone said, why is she there? Like, what has she done to get there? And people were like laughing and joking. It wasn't anything serious, because we all know that she's not in the same league as those people, because she was sat there with Keane, with Beckham, with Gary Neville, with Jamie Carragher. And some dumb idiot came on there and then said that there's only one player out of these who's won an international trophy, and it's not any of the men. Like it's even close what she's achieved compared to them. And the problem with this sort of stuff is Jill Scott would admit that herself. She wouldn't be compared to them. We see it on Soccer Aid, right? When Soccer Aid does ex-pros and you have a lot of celebs play, and then some women who play professionally or have just retired, the level between them and the celebrities, they're not even as good as the celebs. So we're not even talking like it's the same sport. We should support women's football because women's football is fantastic. I love seeing how inspired young girls are watching the women's football and what England have done. But why do we have to invade the space of men's football? Why can't it have a completely separate thing where we all support it? Because I know a lot of men, if they didn't have it rammed down their throats, would absolutely love women's football. I know they would, because the UFC doesn't ram the women's part of the sport down people's throats. They just have it on there. And actually, the thing that got me into watching the UFC and MMA was Ronda Rousey, because I was watching her as a sportswoman, an athlete, and I was blown away by it. And then I got into a lot of the men fighting and then a lot of the male fighters, and that's how I got into it. I wasn't having it force-fed me every single week. I wasn't having it invading the space of anything else. I watched it naturally, which is how women's football should be. If we want to fund this game, you need to have the men. You can't just have the women, because the women aren't following women's football. If you really want to have equal pay, then you need to get the women to follow the game. If they're not interested in the game, then don't then try and invade another audience. I won't go much. I'm not going to go any further into it but it's ridiculous. And this woman, how embarrassing to go on live TV, national television, and spout off on something that you don't know anything about. She couldn't be further wrong.
Ooh, that does not sound good. Oh! What was that? What was that?
I smacked the table. Y'all got it?
Oh my!
Okay, take me a bunch off now.
What is this? Why have they got a box of slime?
Where it comes from, what it does, why is it doing what it's doing? Get it out of my face.
What's going on, everybody? Cal the Dragon here. We're all good. Another daily check-in. But I promise you that nothing is going to happen in this video because everything is just fine with me, and it's again, seriously.
We've been accused a few times already of bullying Cal the Dragon by simply reacting to his awful videos. So I won't bully Cal the Dragon. I won't say anything negative about him this week. I'm just going to make an observation about what he's done. Here we see an autistic... Unacceptable.
Deary me. It's almost correct. Almost. Put Henry on the left. Put Harry Kane up front. And then that's it. Ronaldo, you can't put him as the best winger in the Premier League of all time when Hazard was better than him. Genuinely, watching Hazard in the Prem was better than watching Ronaldo in the Prem.
I actually commented on this guy's video in the week saying, basically, he must be chomping. He must be doing what we do. And he responded that he wasn't. He said something, I don't know what, he said something like, call me out on your show or something like that, or put me on your video. He is so wrong for not putting Cristiano Ronaldo in this all-time Premier League team. I can't even describe to you how much it annoys me when people have this memory of a goldfish in football. They instantly think anyone who isn't playing currently or isn't hitting the levels that they maybe did before, they think they're shit and they think that overwrites history. We're getting it at the moment with De Gea, and it's actually the reverse now is happening with De Gea and saying De Gea should come back. But the problem is people are debating because Onana's having a bad time. They think De Gea should come back, which isn't right. De Gea's had his time at Man United. But then people are saying, are you serious? Look at the pain he caused us for the last 3-4 years. Look at the ability of David De Gea and the season after season he saved us from pure mediocrity. I mean, we should have been 8th, 9th, 10th in the table without him. For about 6 years, he was fantastic and arguably one of the greatest goalkeepers we've ever had, one of the greatest goalkeepers of Premier League all time. Now, I'm looking at this Premier League all-time 11. Petr Cech in goal, I agree with that. John Terry and Ferdinand at the back, I'll agree with that. Ashley Cole, left back, fine with that. Kyle Walker, right back, I'm okay with that. Then they've got Gerrard, Lampard, De Bruyne. We'll take out one of them. Gerrard stays in, he's the number one, but put Scholes in. Salah, right wing. I think I agree. Henry up front and Ronaldo left wing. I'm happy with that. I'm absolutely fine with that. I would look at Scholes over Lampard, possibly. But I think it's tight between all of those. I'd put Scholes over Lampard, but I think that's tight. And I actually think De Bruyne... I'd have De Bruyne in there as well. Yeah, I think it's almost right. This guy, I mean, the fact that he takes Ronaldo out, the best player that's ever played in the Premier League, the best player that's ever played in our league, and he wants to take him out. Ridiculous. And it's not like he was shit or wasn't good. He won the Ballon d'Or while at Man United. He scored 31 Premier League goals in a season. Like, the guy's an all-time great. And he didn't just do it for one season. He was the best player in the league season after season after season, to the point where Fergie had to keep him for 1 year, even though he was destined for Real Madrid. And he was still phenomenal that season, knowing he was going at the end of the season and that he wanted to go that season before. So, yeah, Ronaldo has to be in there. Absolutely no doubt about it.
Also, by the way, where's Wayne Rooney? Sorry, Salah. Salah's out. Rooney's in. There's your team.
We've had that target before. We still have it now. So to come into this club is to kind of know that you will always have that target, because you're one of the best teams in the world and everyone wants to win against the best. But obviously, in terms of having that feeling going everywhere we go, obviously we feel that the club is growing, people are joining, and that's something beautiful to see and to be able to be a part of.
Right, this is a great experiment for anyone who's just listening rather than watching. Guess who is talking right now? Which footballer? Because you'll never guess it. Is Ruben Dias talking? Either I know he's got good English, I know that, but I didn't know his accent was like this. I feel like this has to be AI. There's a new app where you can make someone speak almost perfectly in another language. This is too good. His English is too good. But I know his English is really good. No, this has to be fake. I don't know. This could be real. Could be fake.
I need the details.
How do you know?
Because I know. I see the coaches. He's the best in details, in being a person, human being,
how to make every player and every team he goes, every player gets better.
Because
how is that possible?
And you've also played.
I played under him, and I was 32 years old, and he made me better. Wow! Like every team.
Talking about Roberto De Zerbi of Brighton here, and yeah, I think everyone who watches his teams play sees the statistics, and sees the numbers that they're putting up. I think we're looking at a manager that is destined for a bigger team. I was looking at a stat this week, and Arsenal against Man City gave Man City their first consecutive loss in the Premier League since 2018, I think it was. It was like for 5 years. I think it was the first consecutive loss for like 5 years. And next up, all the other teams in the league had lost 2 in a row, maybe within the last 6 to 12 months. And then you had Brighton, who had been next longest, which shows you, yes, under Graham Potter, fantastic, but continued under De Zerbi as well to hit those levels. They seem to, they never lose 2 in a row. And now I think they've got the longest streak in the Premier League. Now City have lost 2 in a row. So I think that would be the statistic now. Roberto De Zerbi's Brighton have gone on the longest streak without losing 2 games consecutively. Wow, mouthful. Right, guys, thank you for that this week. Those submissions were great. We always get some funny ones. We always get some Cal the Dragon, and occasionally we get some football ones. So I really appreciate it. Okay, right, we're going to go around Europe. We're going to do a quick whiz around Europe, catch you up on all the things that you missed this week, because let's be honest, the Premier League is probably about enough. Then you got the Championship, and then by the end of that, I mean, you can't even take on board any more football. But I'm here to do it for you. Right, okay, in France, Monaco, they stay top. Balogun with his 3rd in 4 games. Flo Balogun, who moved there this season. We all thought he was going to come back to Arsenal and maybe kick on and become their striker, their full-time centre-forward. He went to Monaco and he's continuing to rip up that league. That's 3 in 4 games for him. PSG beat Rennes 3-1 away from home. Mbappe didn't score. Kolomouani did. Randall Kolomouani had 1 touch when he came on, and that first touch was a goal straight into the back of the net. Yeah, that's his 2nd goal for PSG, but I think he looks at home there. I think he'll be a good signing for them. Lyon threw away another halftime lead. They were 3-1 at the break. I don't know if you remember a couple of weeks ago, they were 3-0 up at halftime and still managed to lose that lead and draw 3-3. They are without a win this season, and I've said it week after week, they are the worst team in the world, and I continue to believe that. Lacazette scored twice for them. I think that will be a big turning point for them, having Lacazette back, firing and scoring, but still, Lyon, what a shambles. What is going on at that club? In Spain, Madrid top after another Bellingham brace. That is 8 in 8 games for him. He's not even a striker, but Jude Bellingham is flying. And at the moment, is he the best player in world football? At 20 years old, is Jude Bellingham the best player in the world? I think there's an argument for it. Mbappe's the best player in the world, but Bellingham on form, unbelievable. Lamine Yamal scored. He becomes the youngest ever La Liga goal scorer at just 16 years old. Weirdly scored for his country before scoring for Barcelona in the league. But yeah, he scored. It wasn't enough to get the win for Barcelona. They drew 2-2 with Granada. Girona recovered from their loss against Madrid a few weeks ago. They won 1-0, which makes it 7 wins in 9 games for them. I think they're the surprise package of the season in La Liga. They are flying. What else happened? Mason Greenwood scored his first goal for Getafe in their 2-2 draw away at Celta Vigo. Don't really know how to feel about that, but he scored and it was a great finish. In Italy, Inter held at home to Bologna. The weekend's shock result, really, I think. That gave Milan the opportunity to go ahead and leapfrog their city rivals, which they did. And that was all thanks to Olivier Giroud taking on the goalkeeper gloves, going in goal and performing his heroics. Fantastic. And it's something so weird about seeing an outfield player playing goal. I love seeing it. We saw John O'Shea do it. I remember Rio Ferdinand did it as well. Harry Kane did it. But yeah, Giroud was the latest and he kept a clean sheet. Juve keeping pace, Napoli beaten. They were beaten by a decent looking Fiorentina side. I saw a little bit of that game and Napoli, Osimhen scored again, but they were never going to keep up that level that they had last season. They were incredible and I think they blew all the sides away. But yeah, they're struggling a little bit this season. Talking of teams that are struggling, Empoli, they have scored just once in 8 games in the league. Somehow, I don't even think they're bottom, but they've only scored once, which is wild. They drew 0-0. And Lukaku scored twice, by the way, for Rome. I think he's found his feet there. They won 4-0, I believe. Germany, who else do we talk about in the Bundesliga? No, not Harry Kane. We talk about Serhou Guirassy, and he has scored another hat-trick. Now, I've been raving about Guirassy since the start of the year, trying to get everyone on board the Guirassy train, and I think this is the week that maybe people start to take notice. Another hat-trick makes it 13 goals in 7 games. That is Erling Haaland level and above. I mean, even when Lewandowski was playing there, he didn't hit those numbers. Kane's in there, I think he's got 8 goals, which is a fantastic record. But Guirassy's just blowing them all out the water. Stuttgart flying. They are second from top. Guess who's top? It's Xabi Alonso's Bayer Leverkusen. They won again. They had a comfortable win at home to Cologne, who are bottom of the league. Victor Boniface scored. And he's another player that is, I mean, we should all be raving about him, but Guirassy is just taking the limelight in Germany. He's absolutely incredible. What else happened in that division? Bayern did win, by the way. Kane didn't score. He got an assist, but Leroy Sané on the score sheet again. I'm talking about players who are maybe the best in the world at the moment. I think if you're building a current form best 11, Leroy Sané is that right wing position nailed on. I think he's the best right winger in the world at the moment. Fantastic. Yeah, he scored again. Everywhere else, Ajax lost again. They are in the relegation zone. And I don't think anyone at the start of the season would have called that. Have they even won? I think they've maybe won once this season, if that. I mean, they've had a turbulent start off the pitch, but it has been shocking for them. Yeah, they are third from bottom. In that division, we've talked about strikers who are flying at the moment. Santiago Jimenez, another one I've told you all to watch out for. The Mexican striker has now got 12 goals in 8 games. He got a brace on the weekend for Feyenoord. Looks absolutely fantastic, and I think another player that will probably get a big move in the summer next year, if not in January. Victor Gyökeres, who did get a move, he got a move from Coventry City. He was flying last season. He's continuing that form. He is now on 6 goals, 5 games in a row he's scored for Sporting. So that step up for him doesn't look like it's been too difficult for him to handle. He's flying as well. So yes, Sporting top in Portugal, and that's all thanks to Victor Gyökeres, who's absolutely flying. Okay, right, guys. 2 lies and a truth answer. I gave you 3 stories. The stories were relevant to this week's football. The first story was Seattle Sounders game against Vancouver Whitecaps last week was delayed by 30 minutes after the Seattle mascot lost control of his chainsaw in the tunnel. That was story number 1. Story number 2 was Montpellier's game with Clermont was abandoned last weekend with Clermont goalkeeper being stretchered off after being scared by a firework. Or was the true story number 3. Egyptian side Future FC were awarded the win this week against Al Gaish after the referee abandoned play at 2-0 due to an abnormal number of locusts on the pitch. There was 3 stories. One of them was true. Which one was it? Did you get it? It was story number 2. Montpellier's goalkeeper was stretchered off after being scared by a firework. Now, I actually don't know if this is a serious thing because I'm not checked up on how he's doing, but he did get stretchered off. The game was abandoned, but I'm going to put the video clip of this happening in right here, and you tell me what you think.
À ses pieds, Maurizio. Ouais. Pas vu ce pétard.
What happened there, I don't know. It looks like he'd been flashbanged. We had the quiz question at the start of the show, threw up in my mouth a little bit. We said we saw Steve Evans giving it large at the start. He was the manager for which team? The team The clue was in the name. Steve. It's Stevenage. He is Stevenage Borough manager. That's Steve Clark giving it large. Right, guys, thank you so much. Thank you for tuning in once again. We hope you stay with us. Please subscribe. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the like button if you liked any of our content this week. It does do wonders for us. We are trying to grow as quickly as possible. We understand we're a small podcast, so all of your support is massively, massively appreciated. If you haven't already, go to our TikTok page, hit subscribe or follow on there because we'll have all of our highlights from every week's episode. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube. This is the place we really want to grow. We know that all of you listen, so it is really difficult to get you over from the Spotify over to YouTube. But please, if you have got a YouTube account, go ahead, subscribe to our channel and like our videos. That does wonders for us as well. We will be back again next week. Next Wednesday, you'll see me right here every week. Hopefully for the rest of the season, unless I die because Liverpool fans have chomped me too hard. I'll see you on the other side of the chomp because this could be scary.
Speaking wisdom into my mind. Tell me stories of all that are great. Cherish these days before it's too